Right, today we need to learn or review, some of you may have already seen, the skill of long division and synthetic division for polynomials. And we're going to go right to it. When I talk about dividing using long division, it's a skill that's important, and here's why it is important. All right? If I have this function that looks like this, 6x cubed minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4, and it's all over x minus 2, boy, that's ugly. All right? And later on, when you take calculus with me, or if you take it in college, you're going to find out that finding the derivative, for example, in calculus of that function is really nasty that way. And we can kind of clean it up a little bit by doing long division. So let's do remember this fraction bar means divide. So we're going to do long division. I'm going to put x minus 2 on the outside. And I'm going to put the polynomial on the inside. 6x cubed minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4. Now, this one works out nice because I have every term in my polynomial. Okay? Please note that I've got a cubed term, I've got an x squared term, an x to the first, and then a regular number on the end, or a coefficient. So if they're not there, you have to put a 0 in for it. Okay, so if I wouldn't have had this x squared term right here, then I would have had to put in a 0x squared down here. Okay, and we'll look at that in just a minute. So what do I do? Well, I start this by saying, what do I have to multiply x by to get 6x cubed? What would I have to multiply x by to get 6x cubed? 6x squared. So we put the 6x squared right here, and then I multiply that 6x squared by what I'm dividing by. So this will be 6x cubed minus 12x squared. Now, if you do this correctly, your like terms should line up, just like mine did. And just like regular long division, we are going to subtract that term. And this is, a lot of people mess this up. Now what I have to do is, because I'm going to subtract this, I need to change both of these signs, like that. Because I am subtracting it just like in true long division. All right? So obviously, if you do this correctly, these two should go away. And then I just combine these two. Negative 19 plus 12 is negative 7x squared. And then I bring down the next term, bring this down, the plus 16x. And now I ask, what do I have to multiply x by to get negative 7x squared? Isn't it negative 7x? So I will put a negative 7x here, and I'll multiply that again by this x minus 2. So that will be negative 7x squared plus 14x. It looks a lot like regular old long division that you learned several years ago. Now I have to change the signs. Don't forget that part. This will become a plus. The next one will become a minus. Unfortunately, long division requires an eraser. And now I can combine my terms. So I have 2x. I bring down my minus 4. And I ask, what do I multiply x by to get 2x? Regular old plus 2. Distribute it through. I get 2x minus 4. I change my signs. And what do you know about that? This one comes out with a remainder of 0. So this one divides evenly. And my answer is this thing up here. So what we've said is that this ugly thing that we started out with can be simplified to this, all right, which is very convenient. Okay? Now, obviously, they don't all work out that fantastic. What if I have, let's just do another one here. Let's say that I have x squared plus 3x plus 5 divided by x plus 1. And I'm going to pause the video and let you kind of tackle that one on your own. Okay, on this one, the x squared plus 3x plus 5 goes in here. X plus 1 goes out here. I would start by multiplying by x, which will make this x squared plus x. Then I need to change my signs to a minus and a minus. Makes this 2x plus 5. Then I would multiply, I would have a plus 2, distribute that through, and I have 2x plus 2. Change my signs to a minus and a minus. And on this one I have a remainder. What do I do with the remainder? Anybody know? The remainder becomes an additional term. I would write plus 3 over what I divided by. Just like that. And that would be your final answer on that one. Okay, so you put whatever your remainder is back over what you divided by at the end as an additional term. All right, that's how you write that answer. Now, we haven't went over, let's just kind of do a big ugly like this one. 9x cubed plus 12x squared minus x minus 7 divided by 3x squared minus 2. Now, obviously, there's some things that pop up in this one. It's why I wanted to do this problem. This still goes on the inside. We haven't seen one yet where one of the terms is missing, but just remember, if one of those terms is missing, like if it jumps from an x cubed to an x, you have to put in that term with a 0. And then the 3x squared minus 2 comes out here. All right. So I ask, what do I need to multiply 3x squared by to get 9x cubed? Isn't it 3x? So the question is, where do I put that? Well, it's not critical where I put it, but you're going to see in a minute that it really needs to be over here. And you'll see why after I distribute through. When I distribute this thing through here, I have my 9x cubed like I wanted, but then I have minus 6x, which means I need to put it over here, like that. And then I do my subtraction. So this becomes a negative, and this becomes a plus. And now, when I combine these two, of course, I have 5x. But what about this 12x squared? Well, you have to bring it down. It's not like it just goes away. I now have 12x squared plus 5x there. And I bring down my minus 7. Now you might be thinking, well, this thing over here only has 2 terms. How is that going to work? Well, we follow our same process. What do I multiply 3x squared by to get 12x squared? Isn't it 4? So I'm going to put a plus 4 here. I'm going to distribute it through, and I'll have 12x squared, which is what we want, minus 8. So that minus 8 goes here. I still change my signs just like before, minus, plus. And these go away, and I have a 1 here. But I also have this 5x. Well, guess what? That's just part of your remainder. Okay? So on this one, my remainder is 5x plus 1 over 3x squared minus 2. So you will see some like that where it's kind of jumping around in places. You just have to make sure that you line up your like terms. Now, how about synthetic division? Synthetic division is nice and clean, but we can't always use it. All right? Synthetic division only works when dividing by x plus or minus k. And k is a number. And what I want you to notice most of all is what's the power of x? 1. Okay? And what is the number in front of x? 1. Okay? Must be 1, and the power must be 1. Otherwise, you can't use synthetic division. Okay, so a couple of those problems or that one we just did with long division, you couldn't do with synthetic division. All right? So, here's what we do here. Let's just get right to an example. Divide with synthetic division. And let's say that I had x to the 4th minus 10x squared minus 2x plus 4 divided by x plus 3. Now, here's what we do. We make a little bracket like this. And then what I put inside are the coefficients of the big polynomial. So the coefficient of x to the 4th is 1. Oh, but wait, isn't there a term missing? There's no x cubed, is there? So I have to put a 0. And then the next one for x squared is negative 10. Then the x term is negative 2. And then I have a regular old constant at the end, 4. All right? Now, if I am dividing by a plus 3, then I need to put a negative 3 here. Basically, you just change the sign. If it would have been a minus 3, then I would put a plus 3 here. All right? So, the process is simple. I bring this one down, bring that 1 down, and then I multiply by the negative 3. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3, and I put that right here. And now I combine these two. What's 0 and negative 3? Isn't it negative 3? And now I multiply by negative 3 again. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. And I put that 9 in the next spot, right there. Then I combine those two, and I get negative 1. I multiply by negative 3 again. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. I combine those two, I get 1. I multiply by negative 3 again. I get negative 3. And I have 1 left over. Now, what you need to notice is that if I'm dividing something to the 4th by an x, my answer should start with a cubic. Okay, so you go down 1. So my answer, these are the coefficients of my answer. I'm going to have 1x cubed minus 3x squared minus 1x plus 1, but I have a remainder. So I need to write plus 1 over, just like we did before, what I divided by, x plus 3. Okay, so if you have a remainder, you treat it just like with long division. Okay? It's not always going to come out to be a 0. It's not always going to work out evenly. Sometimes they will. If this number over here would have been a 0, then I don't have this remainder right here. All right? And we're going to stop there for today.